Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. It is about 9:38 here, and as Gary England would say, in the big town, Oklahoma City. So thanks for having me. We are AT's Weather, and you are here to learn about the weather. We're going to talk about the threat for some storms later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. Then we have a high fire danger following that, and then we have some big storms that'll move into the Arkansas, Missouri area as well. So we'll talk about all that in more detail, so thanks for joining. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about AT's Weather. Just go ahead and hit the like button. Show them that you're interested in the content, and then hit the old share button, and that way your friends can see on your wall, hey, what are you watching? This is what he's watching. This is what she's watching. Or this is what they or them is watching, or this is what whatever is watching. Doesn't matter. It's all good. Let's take a look at temperatures out there. We've got a little bit more humidity that has worked in. So we're at 63.7 degrees out there. So it's a pretty decent evening. You've kind of got that little smell to the air now, which is, there's been a little change brewing, right? So we are going to have some thunderstorms associated with that. If you'd like to get a Tempest weather station, hit that QR code anytime, either during this broadcast or you're going back and watching the replay. Mary, by the way, I see you out there with 1,500 stars. Oh my goodness, thank you very much, Mary. I really appreciate that. I always appreciate you guys when you show love for AT's Weather, and it doesn't have to be on the stars thing. You can be like the Facebook fan subscriptions. You can do subscribe star. You can do YouTube's got a thing with super chat. There's locals, there's rumbles, there's all kinds of ways you can watch the content and share and support me in what I do. So I'll take anything. Okay, so let's see. Again, on the broadcast side, click that link I just posted, and that way, for having trouble getting notified when I do go live, that will show up in your instant message from Facebook, that we don't miss a broadcast, especially when it comes to severe weather, because you don't want to miss that. But by the way, thanks you guys for watching on the Twitter land, and also on Rumble and YouTube as well. Okay, so let's go on into the show. Let's see, first thing I want to show. Let's do this right here. All right, so this is the severe weather threat. Presley, I can't hear. Well, turn up your volume, girl. Okay, oh my goodness. All right, so there's a threat for severe weather. That's on the map. And if you notice, it's still the marginal. We talked about this here in central Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma, and the rest of eastern Oklahoma and Arkansas. This is just the overnight into the early morning hours, just so you know. And then another little section up here. The Storm Prediction Center has really dropped the risks down, so to speak. I mean, it's got a less than 2% all areas for a tornado threat, for example. We look at the hail threat, kind of likes this little area down here, same spot it kind of drew the circle. And then finally, the wind threat has pretty much less than 2% all areas. Now, the question is, of course, this is based off of older data. The newer data has come in. What does it say? So we're going to take a look at that. Now, there is a big fire danger risk, regardless of what happens with storms overnight into early tomorrow morning. So be prepared for that on Friday. Extreme risk out across the western half of the state. Winds gusting up around 50 plus miles per hour. So do your best and do not try to start a fire. Severe weather threat, again, along the I-35 corridor here in central Oklahoma, points to the south. And as we head into, let's go to the Tulsa area, same idea on severe weather across your region, also kind of in that green shaded for the marginal. And then the slight risk is to the east. And you're going, what is the difference between the marginal and slight risk? By the way, Aubrey, I see you with some stars. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. What is the big difference? Confidence factor. That's really what it is, because if you do get some thunderstorms tomorrow morning around daybreak, they have the potential for tornadoes, large hail, and yes, probably some damaging winds. So I don't understand really slight risk versus marginal risk. There's a risk, right? So we won't nitpick and get down to the weeds on that. We'll just let you know, hey, just keep an eye out. In the morning hours, we might have some rough stuff, and that's because this little upper-level storm system is swinging on through overnight tonight into tomorrow, and then moving by us during the afternoon and evening hours. That'll help set the stage for some pretty good thunderstorms here across the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, stretching down to Arkansas, Mississippi, and also into Memphis area, and then points east from there. Matter of fact, by the afternoon hours, most of the significant lift in the atmosphere is down along this area. So our round will only be in the morning hours, and then it's quickly out of here. If we do look at the dew point values that have surged, we do have values by tomorrow morning around 65 to 66 degrees. So that's plenty of moisture to work with. And with that comes some instability. Even though we don't have the sunshine to go with it, right? We'll still have some instability that goes with it. And it's not the cleanest sounding. I've seen some, better forecast soundings for severe weather, but this will do the trick. In other words, possible hazard type is a tornado, and a significant tornado with that, with also some hail sizes and analogs going up to around golf ball or larger. Ship model has a 2.8. That's a pretty good indication you're going to have hail sizes over 2 inches if we can get any supercells to develop within this atmosphere. So there's still plenty to work with. So it's kind of an odd time to have this, but we talked about that last night as the threat. If you watch into the middle of the afternoon, so here's lunchtime, and then quickly by the end of your lunch period, the dry line surges in. All this drier westerly wind comes in, and southwesterly wind. Look at dew points drop off. Remember, from the mid-60s, which kind of makes it feel sticky outside, to the 20s. Single digits up here in the panel. That's some bone dry air. So you go from needing no moisturizer at all to using the entire bottle. Let's take a look at the sin. Boy, we would like to look at sin in the sin in the world. There'd be a lot of sin out there. This is a different kind of sin. This is a CIN. This is basically our cap. This is what the lid is in the atmosphere. All right, so the brighter colors on here indicates the stronger the cap. And watch what happens around 2, 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. And we talked about this last night. You see this weakness showing up? This is where you have no sin, meaning no cap, and that is developing here over central Oklahoma. This includes Oklahoma City, points down the south and west. So this is why I was concerned that we might get some thunderstorms develop in this area before daybreak that would move through and cause some trouble for us. Yes, can you hear a tornado warning at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning? You sure can. The sirens will be going off, and your apps and your NOAA weather radio will be going off as well. Keep that in mind here for tonight. Make sure all that stuff is turned on before you go to bed tonight, just in case this happens. All right, so there's the daybreak hours. That cap continues to erode out here in eastern Oklahoma. It's getting strong out here in the east and down the south. But the overall preliminary look here in the data is that cap will continue to erode all the way down to Texas. More storms will fire up on Friday as that whole system moves through. So that's kind of how that transpires. When we look at the ingredients for tornadoes, significant tornadoes at that, we can look at a little magic formula, kind of throw some indices together into a bucket, and it kind of paints it on a map for you, so it makes it easy to see, easy to spot. So where you have all the bright colors here, that's where the atmosphere is best conducive for tornadic activity. Now, it won't be in this whole area because you have a cap in some of these areas, right? That sin did not erode. It's mainly down this little favorite area right here. Again, it's around the daybreak hours. It does include Oklahoma City metro area, where you do get a possible hazard type of a tornado, and significant one at that. And that does include here in the Oklahoma City metro. We got decent Cape values up around 2,000 plus. No cap to be seen. Shear is well in the ballpark, 3 to 400 storm relative helicity. Let's see what else we got. Ship model still around 2.6, so good large hail with any of these. So the point is, the atmosphere is not playing around. So if we get some thunderstorm here that are rooted tomorrow morning, I do expect a couple of tornadoes out of this. And that does include the greater Oklahoma City metro area and central Oklahoma. The shear and Cape values here, central view here of Oklahoma City in this orange shading kind of times it out just right for us. So between 5 and 6 and 7 in the morning. And then the threat kind of shifts quickly to the east. So Tulsa gets it through 10. And 11, but then it pretty much is out of your area by then as well. And then it's all into Arkansas by the time we hit the 2 to 3 o'clock hour in the afternoon. So that's kind of how the threat window shapes up. So the latest model data. Models are having a tough time producing any thunderstorms given what's happening. And I think that's an error, but we'll see. They might be smarter than me this time around. But at least there's a hint. So if we look here at 5 o'clock in the morning, you see this right here, this little bubbling. Let's see, let's go back to 4. Nothing was there. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You see that? That is bubbling up of at least some showers in the model data. That gives me confidence that at least the models have some clue that something's going on, and they do try to develop some showers, but they don't develop any thunderstorms. I think that's a mistake. I think if they're going to develop the showers, they might as well develop the thunderstorms. So that's the signal I'm looking for, so that gives me confidence in the forecast. By 9 o'clock, you can see any round of showers and storms out there is quickly out into eastern Oklahoma, and it's gone by lunchtime. So that is our high-resolution HER model. Again, that's supposedly our flagship. It's the best of the best. Let me see here. If I look, here's another signal. Here's another CAM model right here. So again, daybreak hour. It's got this little south central Oklahoma signal. And that's really all we're going to find in this. We're going to go to another one here. Let's see what kind of signal it has for us through the same time period. And there's that little signal right there. So again, that's all the models are still indicating some development. So that kind of gives me an idea. We're probably going to see some rough stuff for about a 2 or 3 hour window here in central Oklahoma. And then finally the Texas Tech Wharf, same idea. Look at that cluster right there that bubbles up. Now it's backed off the severity. It was a little bit more favored in this direction earlier in the day, and the newer run kind of came out. It kind of reduced that a little bit, but I still see it still there. So our experimental version of the new types of models coming out in development, this also has that same signal right there. Again, in 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then that quickly moves off to the east in Arkansas for the rest of the afternoon. So keep that in mind. If you guys are in Arkansas, you will have the best, strongest thunderstorm to deal with for the afternoon on Friday. Same thing for you guys out here in southeastern Missouri. Some of these will again be tornadic. So that's just kind of the way it is shaping up. And since I'm talking about that, I'll go ahead and show you the risk here across that area. And here's a look at it across the country. So look how large the severe weather risk is. I mean, this is a huge risk from the slight to the moderate or to the enhanced area. So we'll zoom in a little bit. Let me go back to this map here. We'll go to day 2. And that kind of focuses your attention. So if you have any friends that do live in this area, for like eastern Iowa, for example, also to northeastern or eastern Arkansas, let them know. Say, hey, heads up, you got severe storms expected in your area tomorrow, probably a few tornadoes in your backyard region. Make sure to use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free, Apple and Google Play, and that will predict these tornadoes before they develop. Has some proprietary algorithms that gives them a heads up before the official warning comes out. That could be anywhere from a few minutes to as much as 15 minutes. That's extra time to get everything in order. So you can see the hatched area for tornadoes. So there's your hot spot up here in this area and also in this area. Now this, can change just a little bit, wiggle around for tomorrow, but that's pretty much the way things ought to pan out for the event on Friday afternoon. Now again, we talked about the big winds coming in behind this feature. So if you do look at the winds across the state as we head into our into our Friday, you can see how in the morning hours we're in about the 30s. There's some gusts around 40, and as we head into the afternoon hours on Friday, we're gusts up to 49. There's almost 50 miles per hour. So there's our gusts close to 50 or so, and it kind of lulls a little bit Friday afternoon and evening, late. And then as we head into Saturday, we get kind of a secondary push in the morning hours as a little surge of cooler air comes in. So we do get a gust for the first part of Saturday, gusts up around 20 to 30, but then look how quickly they drop off. By Saturday at 1 o'clock into the afternoon, there's no wind at all across the state. So we're very tranquil. It's a good afternoon. And then as we head into Saturday night, they start to pick back up as the winds return out of the south. And then we get a breezy Sunday starting in the morning into the afternoon. Winds gusting up around 30 to 40 miles per hour. So a little breezy over the weekend, but that will help to keep temperatures up a little bit. So we are going to get some good readings on those. We'll take a look at those here right now. So for tonight, again, we'll be in the 60s. The dew point values in the 60s, so we'll have some instability and some moisture to work with. As we head into the daybreak hours, see those temperatures out into the panhandle. They're coming eastward into the 40s out there, so a cool start for you guys in the morning. But by afternoon, everybody kind of rebounds into the 70s across the states. Looks like a really good afternoon, minus the wind and the fire danger. If we head into Saturday, starts off in the morning on the cool side, so we're back into the 40s and some 30s in the panhandle. Otherwise, again, primarily 40s out there. And then on Saturday afternoon, we're looking back as we go into the mid to upper 60s in some cases. And we'll cool you back down to the 40s for Sunday morning. So pretty decent looking weekend. And I'll go into Sunday afternoon right here. And we should be upper 60s to low 70s out across the state. So again, not a bad weekend at all. It's a little bit of wind off and on, but not too terrible. Here's a look at your extended outlook. We've got 80 showing up on Monday and Tuesday. How about that? There will be another storm system that comes in here Tuesday into Wednesday. After that, of course, that brings in a slightly cooler air mass. And we have temperatures after that. Man, I mean, pretty cool for the first full week and the second week of April. Over at lows, though, still into the 40s. You see these numbers right here Wednesday morning. Just watch out for some possible frost out there across parts of the state on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And I warned you, remember, you can plant according to your zone. And so some of you are itching to plant this weekend. That's fine. Just know that really sensitive stuff not going to like it too much until the middle of part of April. If some of these numbers are here into the 40s, like we have a plant, for example, it doesn't want to be below 50, but we're just going to risk it because we're tired of keeping it in the garage. So I was like, get this thing out of here. But it's got gnats, which then come into the house, and I don't want gnats in the house either because it'll irritate me. So keep that in mind also. By the way, I see you, Ron. Thank you for the stars tonight on a 3-week streak, and Jared, thank you as well. So he wants to know any shady business for Dallas-Fort Worth. And I didn't see any down there like Northeast Texas for this event. Let me go back here. Let's see. We'll pick this model. This is actually the one that's always overzealous. And we'll see what an overzealous model gets you. Some morning thunderstorms. So there is still something there. But all the strong, significant stuff is east of you from around Tyler, north into southeast Oklahoma and Arkansas for the rest of the afternoon. So you don't get anything really substantial or significant in your region with this event. So there you go. Otherwise, those storms continue to move on off into southeastern Texas for the rest of the afternoon and evening. So there you go. All right, let's see. I think that's what I got here for you. So if you're late, first off, why? And if you're putting the kids to bed, I get it. Now you're excused. Outside of that, don't be late because you're going to miss out. Matter of fact, I see out there keeping her hair muddy on YouTube. Missed the first part, but then watching videos about Karens. Well, that'll teach you. Apparently, you needed some laughter before bed. I get it. And Larry's like, is Tulsa still looking good this weekend? Everybody looks good this weekend. It's just, for the Friday time period. So if you live in Tulsa Friday morning, yes, you could, in theory, see a tornado somewhere in your region. That is a possibility. Depends on what happens here in central Oklahoma with those thunderstorms. So let's discuss that here again for a minute. So if you're late, we do have a weakness developing in the atmosphere as far as the cap is concerned. Now, if you're, again, new here, you're like, what's a cap? It's a layer of warm air a few thousand feet off the ground that acts like a lid, suppresses thunderstorms. So think of this like a like a layer of warm air, all right, in the vertical. So you get a parcel of air that tries to go up, and it hits this little temperature inversion, and it bounces around. It can't get through. So what happens is, now we have different processes that can happen to break the cap. And overnight, it'll erode. And what happens is, by eroding means this temperature layer gets cooler and cooler and cooler. So then at some point, that parcel of air down here is warmer than this thing is, and it goes right through it, and then we get our thunderstorm to develop. So overnight into early tomorrow morning, 4 to 5 in the morning, is the sweet spot window where that cap erodes, and we could then see some thunderstorms develop. Now, the atmosphere is conducive for tornadoes, large hail, and yes, some damaging wind if that were to occur. And that is the threat across all of central and southern Oklahoma during that time window. So it does include the greater Oklahoma City metro area. Then those would move quickly eastward during the morning hours, and then exiting the state probably by about lunchtime. They'd pretty much all be out of the state by then. So it's about a 6-hour window. So again, Tulsa points to the south. You guys are in that same zone of a potential tornadic storm, or at least a hail-producing storm. And they'll all move in Arkansas, and then, of course, they'll deal with it for the rest of the afternoon in parts of Missouri and northeast Texas. So that's our threat for severe weather. It's an odd time to happen. So if you're wondering, okay, so what do I do? It's so Debbie, I just talked about Okemo, so you guys are in that same area as mentioned. So it's always seek shelter, lowest part of your home. So if you're upstairs, go downstairs, center part, bathroom, stairwell, whatever you got, all away from all outside walls and windows. The key is put yourself away from as many walls or outside of the structure as you can, because you don't want anything to penetrate through the structure and then kind of blow around, because it's projectile objects at that point. And so you want to keep a lot of walls between you and the outside to kind of protect you from those projectiles. Now, we also tell you, if you got kids, old school method, grab a mattress, throw it on top of you in the bathtub. That works. Kids, put on the helmets and stuff and pads for sports and ride the thing out. So that's kind of what we talk about when you're dealing with tornado safety. Obviously, to kind of be prepared, especially when you're sleeping, is make sure you have a NOAA weather radio. I have one linked in this video in the description. It's from Amazon store, where you save a couple of bucks. It's the NOAA weather radio that I use, and it works just fine for me. It's simple, basic, does what it needs to do. So grab that one if you want. It's super cheap. I think it's only, last time I looked, hadn't looked in a while, inflation and all that, but last time I looked it was only like $30, so it's somewhere right around there. So that's good. My weather app, AT's Weather to Go, it's free. Apple, Google Play. Again, it will warn you, but you have to, of course, have it turned on for those instances. So if you have your phone like on a do not disturb, like most of you do, have it set to override it. And you're thinking, well, that's good, but I don't want like an advisory coming out of wind to wake me up on your app. So that's fine, I get it. So do know that when you go into the weather app, you can select what kind of advisories that you want. You can select alerts, and I have mine streamlined. I only want tornado, twisting storm alert, and I think one other is what I want to bother me in the middle of the night. Otherwise, I don't care either, right? I'm sleeping. So that's how you can use that. Sirens, again, they're okay if you're outdoors, but sometimes they're hard to hear indoors, so don't depend on them for that. Some towns, don't even have tornado sirens. Depends on how big the town is and all that kind of stuff. And then emergency management has different reasons as to why they sound a siren. So, for example, you might hear one. Say, for example, you hear one at 5 o'clock in the morning. You're getting up and you're groggy. And you're like, is a tornado coming? It may not be, because the siren may be carried from a distance, or they may have sounded all the sirens across all of Oklahoma County when only like southern Oklahoma County, is seeing a tornado, which means, you guys like are in Edmond, for example, wouldn't even be bothered. So that's why the sirens aren't great for a true, representation of what's happening at your location. It's more or less of a, hey, dummy, wake up, or hey, dummy, pay attention. There's something in the area you might want to check out. So that's really what those are for. They're better than nothing, but the point is to use them all to your advantage. So Tim wants to know, what is the BTI? So when you get on my weather app, for example, the last snowstorm, Ron, you're funny. All right, so let's say you're using my weather app. Again, it's on Apple, Google Play. It's called AT's Weather to Go. So let's say you get a twisting storm alert, and it has a BTI rating on it. Or you get a dangerous storm approaching. It has a BTI number on it. So it goes from a scale of 1 to 10. So if it's a 1, 2, or 3, you can usually kind of just, I'd say just pay attention to what's going on, but it's not something to seek shelter from. If it has a 4, 5, and 6, you might want to consider hitting shelter, because depending on the environment and the situation that we're in, it could be a tornado at that point. If it's a 7, 8, 9, 10, hit the deck, don't even question it. It's more than likely a tornado, and you don't have time to think about it. So that's how you read those numbers. So it's basically a confidence probability number threshold on whether or not there is a tornado in that particular storm. So it takes all these basket of indices. Wendy Lawton's pretty far west, so I don't think so. I think you would be on the far western fringe of where a thunderstorm would try to develop, and by the time it would mature, it would be east of you. So I don't think you'll be in a threat for anything like that. By the way, thank you, Leslie and Micah. So that's how you interpret those numbers. So what it is you get you'll get a thunderstorm, all right? And at some point, the National Weather Service will issue a tornado warning. Now, when that happens, it happens for a couple of reasons. It's all, done by humans. The first one would be, has a tornado been sighted by a storm spotter, emergency management? So that's one indication to issue the warning. The second is if they're watching radar trends and they're analyzing it, and this is assuming that they have full staff eyes on and they're not multitasking, they got to go do some other products, and they're coming back to the radar and looking at it and waiting for their algorithms to trigger them, to alert them, oh, by the way, you might want to check this out. So this is assuming that none of that is happening, because if that's happening, that's a different animal. But let's assume they're staffed well and they're watching like a hawk. Then what they can do is check to see how the storm ramps up in intensity, how the velocity couplet's starting to look in the storm, and at some point they're going to have enough personal confidence to go ahead and issue a tornado warning. So that's how that's done on the human element side from the Weather Service. On my weather app side, it does all that, but then more. So it takes that same storm and it factors in the conditions of the atmosphere that we're in, and it factors in high resolution model data, and it factors in storm structure dynamics, and it combines all of that into a kind of an AI basket, and it says, okay, I think this storm is going to produce a tornado, and I'm going to give it a confidence value of like 1 to 10. And I'm going to alert everyone in the immediate path of where this particular tornado would develop, and then only alert those people. So that's how it works. It's very specific. It's very targeted. It's to your specific location. If you're on GPS, to your GPS location. If you've entered it into the locations as a physical address, only your street address, it'll alert you for that. If you're outside of that, it won't bother you. so that way it doesn't overwarn. But that's how that works. So because that process is automated, it gives you extra time. Because remember, the weather service guy or gal is sitting there and analyzing. Well, the computer is doing the same thing, as doing it faster. So it's going to kick it out ahead of time. So it can give you up to 15 minutes warning before a warning can come out. That's how quickly all that stuff can evolve, and then how stuff gets disseminated. So the idea is, the faster, obviously, the better, because you want more time to prepare. I did see another meteorologist posted, he had some research he came across with how much time is too much time to be warned that there's a tornado coming. And it turns out from, I don't know, this is research just from asking, I guess, people, and based off of how human nature is and how people reacted, they came up with a sweet spot of about 15 minutes. Meaning, if they tell you that there's a tornado coming and it's 30 minutes away, it's too long. It's you then go into you know what? I got all the time in the world. I'm going to finish this TV show. I'm going to finish cooking dinner. Let the kids play for another 25 more minutes. There's something going on in the human element of the brain that goes, got plenty of time. And it almost gets dismissed. So they found out that too long of a warning time is detrimental. So they kind of like the 15-minute sweet spot. Obviously, anything sooner than that, for sure. 5 minutes is 5 minutes, right? 30 seconds is 30 seconds. Sometimes you don't get 30 seconds. Sometimes there's a warning after a tornado has happened. It's not a lot, but it does happen because, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes there's no one watching like a hawk every 5 seconds, and they're multitasking, they're short on staff, whatever it may be, or the algorithms they were depending upon to trigger them missed it, it spun up too fast between radar scans. There's all kinds of number of things that can happen. Or it's a freak occurrence. They weren't expecting it. Oops, we got a tornado there. That didn't see that one coming. So there's all kinds of things that can happen where a tornado warning isn't issued where it probably should have been, because it's also human error, right? So anyway, so that's kind of where this the AI kind of steps in with my weather app, and it's something special that none of the other weather apps do. And there are a ton of weather apps out there. They'll tell you where there's lightning. They'll tell you where there's storms. They'll tell you your forecast for the day. I get it. There's a lot of them out there, and some of them are funny. They'll give it different terminology to entertain you. But mine is a severe weather app geared towards saving your life. So mine's a little bit different. It may not have all the bells and whistles that some of your other weather apps have, but mine will warn you when lightning's in the area, which means get the kids off the football field. Athletic directors love it. They like that extra, 30 minutes notice. They can clear the stands out, in a game. So that's all useful information. The danger storm approaching is useful for damaging winds and large hail, and the twisting storm alert for tornadoes. Got to want that, right? So make sure you check it out. It's free. And if you only want to use it during the springtime, that's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's all for your safety. See, Clint says, I have a ham radio. Heck yeah, that's another element. Now, there's not a lot of people with ham radios, so that's not usually mentioned a lot. But yeah, let's see, Stillwater, Pawnee, Halia, or did I get you right? Or is it Haley? Yeah, Halia. I'm going to go with Halia. But yeah, you're pretty far north. You're on the far northern fringe. I'm not too worried about you. It should be mostly just south of you. It's kind of in a line along the turnpike from Oklahoma City to Tulsa, and then point southward would probably be my favorite zone of where I think the cap would break and get some thunderstorms. You're just kind of on that far northern fringe, so I guess it's not completely out of the woods, but it's more favorable to your south. Let's see. All right, so I think that was some of your questions, and I kind of explained a bit more about how the app works. So that was a good question. And then let me see what else I got here. I think that's about it. So I'll tell you what, that is all I've got for you. So sleep well, but just know that some of you may get up by the sound of thunder. And if you do, check radar. You can pull up my weather app and you can check out the radar on that. You can even look at the high resolution radar on it. So in Oklahoma, I have all the major NextRad sites built in. So just go into the maps in the layer control feature. And then you can select on like the Central Oklahoma radar, for example, and you can even select on the velocity product, and you can see whether or not you see some couplets in there, which are those red and green come together in the shape of a storm. So some of you can kind of be your own little meteorologist on that. Link for the weather radio, please. All right, so Amber, so the best way to tell you is tap on this video right now as you're watching it, and you will see on Facebook a white thing that pops up, and it has some text in there. And if you look on that, down toward the bottom, you will see browse my Amazon store and pick up a NOAA weather radio. So that's how you can find that link. And there's some other links in there, like if you guys want to get a Tempest weather station, that's in there too. So in YouTube, it's also there. You can look on the description of the video. Same thing for Rumble. And when I upload these to Gab and also Twitter, you guys don't get much because, Twitter's pretty basic, but it is what it is. It's better than nothing, I guess. All right, so that's it for me. It's a good question, though. Shane, yeah, you'll need to pay attention in the early to mid-morning hours there for your neck of the woods. Hail, wind, potential tornado, kind of a deal. So it's a little odd time of the day to have them, but it's not out of the question. They do occur. We just don't get a whole lot of them during that time of the day. They usually, our sweet spot is between like 4 and usually 8 o'clock in the afternoon and evening for Oklahoma. So yeah, Beach Bum on YouTube. Actually, I do have that. So but I'm going to show you a different way to get to it. All right. So I'm going to go here. This is my website, aarontuttle.weather.com. If you haven't visited, it has a lot of stuff on it. Now, you can get a link to this. It's inside my weather app, by the way. It has all this additional weather data on here that's not on my app. I can't put everything on my app. I put a lot of stuff there, but it's more kind of streamlined. So if you want additional weather stuff, you can always check this out. All right. And we're going to go to the interactive weather radar map to answer your question. All right. By the way, that was my blog over on Sunday that most of you didn't read because Facebook didn't really share it like it was supposed to all of you. I get very irritated when they do that. And I actually found a Facebook person. They actually reached out to me and did an interview because I wanted to know what I thought of certain services and how the program or a platform was working. And trust me, I gave them my 2 cents. I was very stern and told them to quit screwing around. All right, so here's a look at the radar. I'm going to tap this little icon on the top left. And what do you see right there? Now I have storm tracks already on my weather app. All right, you can click on the storm tracks and it'll give you a time of arrival and all that stuff. But if you also look here, you can get future radar. All right, I think that's what you asked for. Is that what you asked for? I hope that's what you asked for because I've already skipped through the question. But anyway, so you can go to wherever you're at and hit future radar and then turn that back on and then hit play. It'll take the storms that you see out there now and it'll fast forward it through an hour in time. And that way you can see the potential direction. So this particular stuff is not on my app, but it's viewable through my app if you, again, go to my website. All right. So, and on my website as well, remember if we talk about the storm tracks within these. So let's do this right here, show you how this works. Let me zoom in here. All right, we'll just pick this one here just to do it. So on this particular case, of course, it gives you the fan speed. It tells you time of arrival, all that kind of stuff. And on my weather app, you can get more information than what you can here. So if I tap this little bar, you see how it tells you the time. See how the time changes? So if you're over here in Ponca or Jasper, you're going, okay, so when is the storm going to get here? You just tap the legend until you get to the point where it reaches you. So here in Ponca, and it's in 40 minutes. Keep tapping it to Jasper, and there you go, about 50 minutes. I can give you an estimated time of arrival of the position of this particular thunderstorm. Now, on my app, you can click on this white box when it comes up, and you can also click on the box that opens up, kind of like this one. It's a secondary menu, and inside of that tells you what's inside the storm, and it gives you all the cities broken down with the estimated time of arrival. It's a little bit different functionality, but same kind of idea. So you can do your storm tracks at home. That way you don't have to watch the TV guys if you don't want to. And if I'm not broadcasting for whatever reason, because remember, I only typically broadcast when it's tornadic activity. So, but if it's a thunderstorm, just generic, or maybe it's got some hail in it, you might want to know, what's going on and some lightning. This will help you. So again, this is on my website, aarontuttle.weather.com. It's on the weather data tab, and it's under interactive weather radar map. And so it has some other functions on here for you. All right, and it's got the high resolution radars on here too. So it's a little bit more stuff on here than what I have just on my app alone. But that's a good question. All right, so that is it. No, Sandra, you'll be in the middle of storms in Arkansas at 1 o'clock for the rest of the afternoon. But they will be moving quickly from west to east. So depending where you're going to be, it's a longer weather day in the eastern half of the state than it is, the western half. The western half is in the morning hours through lunchtime, and probably, I don't know, maybe very early afternoon, like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. Then everything kind of shifts in the eastern half of the state after that. And then Larry, as far as the notification, can you post a link for notifications? Okay, so I'll do that real quick. Let's see. All right, so if you haven't opted in and you want to, click the link I just posted in the Facebook comment section, and that way I will send you a message through your DMs, direct message, and that way you'll know when I go live. I do that every time I go live. The only exception when I don't sometimes is whenever it's a tornado warning. And depending on what I'm doing, I may have hit it once, but then I may be going live for a long time, right? And so I'm not going to hit it again. So that's a little different. But usually when I'm doing like the forecast like this, I usually always hit it there. But then when I do go for the tornado warnings, I do try to make an attempt to do it there as well. So it's a little different way to go on live. I got some other things I have to do for that, but they both work the same way because Facebook isn't always trustworthy. All right, so I think that's it for me. I can get out of here. It's bedtime. I might have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So if that's the case, we do have some tornadoes around here. I'll try to get up and check the radar myself and see if I don't see any storms and it's quiet, I'll probably go right back to bed. So just kind of keep that in mind. But if it looks like tornadoes are going to be out there, I may not be the bright-eyed bushy-tail, but I'll be on the air. So we'll see what happens. Okay, guys, thanks again for watching, and we will talk at you soon. Take care.